Could South America become the next global hotspot? For years, the continent seemed untouched by the storms of conflict raging elsewhere. While wars tore through Ukraine, the Middle East, and Africa, South America stayed silent until now. Just last week, a powerful U.S. naval fleet steered toward Venezuelan shores, shaking the tranquil waters. In response, Venezuela's armed forces swiftly matched the move, signaling a tense standoff. What sparked this sudden clash beneath the tropical sun? On August 20, the White House revealed plans to dispatch 3 Aegis-guided missile destroyers, the USS Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, and USS Sampson, carrying some 4,000 troops to Venezuelan waters. Their mission? To strike at Latin American drug cartels threatening security. But were these formidable warships really already on site, or just shadows on the horizon? Then, 7 days later, an anonymous U.S. official told AFP that the fleet would expand. 2 more vessels, the guided missile cruiser USS Lake Erie and the nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine USS Newport News, were en route to the Caribbean, accompanied by at least 1 Boeing P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol plane. Though designed for sea surveillance rather than espionage, the Poseidon's capabilities extend far beyond simple patrols. What is the true force now gathering in these turquoise waters? The air buzzes with tension, and the question lingers, are we witnessing the prelude to a calamity in America's own backyard? Following reports of the USS Newport News submarine and the arrival of advanced maritime patrol aircraft near Venezuelan shores, a storm of tension is unmistakably brewing. The sudden deployment shocked many, but signs of a deepening feud between former U.S. President Donald Trump and Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro have been mounting for years. Their animosity dates back to Trump's initial term from 2017 through 2020, a period when accusations against Maduro first crystallized into federal charges. Maduro and 14 associates, close confidants in his circle, faced formal indictments on severe allegations of narcotics terrorism and collusion with Colombia's FARC insurgent group to funnel cocaine into the United States. For more than 2 decades, Maduro and top officials allegedly conspired with the FARC, flooding American towns with destructive cocaine, stated then U.S. Attorney General William P. Barr. The gravity of these claims saw a reward for Maduro's arrest escalate from $15 million to $25 million, and most recently surged to a staggering $50 million this August. This dramatic increase coincides with earlier moves, the February classification of Venezuela's Tren de Aragua gang as a terrorist entity. This label placed them alongside notorious groups like El Salvador's MS-13 and several violent Mexican factions. These designations unveiled a clear message: Trump was gearing up for a tougher stance against Maduro's regime. Soon after Trump's naval deployment announcement in mid-August, Paraguay and Ecuador followed suit, branding the so-called Cartel of the Suns as an international terrorist group by August 21. This cartel derives its ominous name from the sun insignia worn by Venezuelan generals, clearly indicating how deeply military officials are enmeshed in illegal operations. By declaring the cartel a terrorist organization, these nations enabled the possibility of coordinated military and intelligence maneuvers against smuggling networks directly tied to Maduro's government. Could this be the opening chapter of a broader regional crisis? With naval fleets poised, secretive cartel leadership exposed, and allied nations positioning themselves, the question arises, is South America on the brink of a conflict unlike any before seen within its borders? The smell of tension hangs thick in the humid Caribbean air, and the world watches, waiting for what comes next. For years, Colombia's peace deals pushed many armed factions across its border into Venezuela. What was once just a transit country for cocaine is now becoming a site for growing cocas, the raw material itself. But here's a chilling twist: whose operations remain untouched amid this chaos? The answer is far more unsettling than you might expect. Now, with mounting international pressure, Trump has doubled down, sending powerful naval forces to Venezuelan waters and raising the stakes higher than ever before. Despite Maduro's denials, Venezuela's coca cultivation is no small matter. While it does not yet rival Colombia's vast 250,000 hectares, the largest in the world, its hundreds of hectares are expanding fast. Peru and Bolivia come next, with roughly 90,000 and 30,000 hectares respectively, but Venezuela's neglected borderlands are fast becoming a dangerous breeding ground. These pockets of poverty, isolation, and lawlessness, ruled by armed groups, create the perfect storm. Imagine the humid, thick jungle air, laced with tension and fear, while shadowy actors go about their illicit business untouched. Now, imagine this chaos fueling a crippled economy and a government drowning in corruption. Insight Crime, a respected investigative group, revealed a startling truth: drug trafficking is not just a side operation, it is a linchpin of Maduro's grip on power. With Venezuela battered by crises, Maduro's strategy was never about personal fortune but control, using the drug trade to secure loyalty among political allies, military leaders, and criminal networks. Anti-drug operations announced by the regime often feel like hollow gestures. Javier Mayorga, head of a justice watchdog site, exposes a harsh reality: some criminal actors face brutal crackdowns, while others are left untouched, exquisitely alone, as he starkly describes it. Does this selective enforcement signal a deeper collusion? Whose interests are protected in the shadows, while others fall victim? The thick tension rising over the Caribbean waters now seems inevitable. As the powerful U.S. fleet looms nearby, the world watches. Is a storm about to break in America's backyard, a storm born in the jungle, nurtured by betrayal, and fueled by cocaine's dark currents? Following the last update, Venezuela's land forces are formidable, boasting over 200 tanks, 1,200 armored vehicles, 200 artillery pieces, and dozens of rocket launchers. Such numbers and the rugged terrain make a full-scale U.S. invasion a daunting prospect. Yet, when it comes to strikes from the air or sea, Venezuela's defenses appear thin. But could drones tilt the balance unexpectedly? In early 2025, reports emerged that Iran had quietly set up a drone manufacturing hub inside Venezuela's El Libertador air base. This facility not only churns out drones but also trains Venezuelan forces in operating several Iranian models. Among them, the ANSU-100 or Mohajer-2, the ANSU-600 or Mohajer-6, and the infamous Zamora V-1, better known by its codename, Shahid-131. What if Maduro's regime commands hundreds or even thousands of Shahids? Russia's use of similar drones in distant Ukraine has shown how swarms of low-cost, hard-to-detect drones can harass even the most advanced warships. Could these stealthy strikes wreak havoc on an otherwise dominant U.S. naval force? The Mohajer-6, with an estimated maximum range just under 1,500 miles and a payload capacity of up to 330 pounds, can carry up to 4 precision-guided missiles. In Variant B, each of its 4 underwing hardpoints can unleash either K missiles, guided by thermal imaging, or Almas missiles, deadly tools against ships and fixed targets alike. Yet, the true size of Venezuela's drone fleet remains a mystery. How many of these silent hunters hover off the Caribbean coasts? Has Maduro quietly amassed a drone army ready to strike? Venezuelan defense minister announced that drone units have been deployed strategically along coastal zones, directly countering the arrival of U.S. destroyers and submarines. This makes clear Maduro's posture: defiance in the shadow of mounting U.S. pressure. But cracks seem to appear beneath this show of strength. Does the bluster mask growing unease within Maduro's ranks? Is Venezuela's drone gamble a desperate bluff or a game-changer on this volatile stage? The humid air near the shores hums with possibility. Somewhere beneath the waves and clouds, drones, small yet lethal, might be circling. Will they unleash sudden chaos, or remain silent ghosts? The coming days may reveal if this aerial shadow war becomes the continent's next nightmare. The previous segment revealed how security cooperation between the U.S., Ecuador, and Paraguay intensifies against the notorious Cartel of the Suns. The cartel's designation as a terrorist group exposes a sharp fracture in South American politics. Now, Nicolas Maduro responds with a provocative call for alliance even amid mounting accusations. Can enemies unite in the shadows of suspicion? In early August, under mounting pressure, Maduro proposed a surprising idea: coordinating with Colombia to halt drug trafficking. On August 12, Colombian President Gustavo Petro embraced the plan publicly. Maduro hasn't called for merging armies, Petro said, but for coordinated efforts along our border. It benefits both countries and already shows progress. I have ordered intelligence sharing to fight drugs, working with the US, Europe, Latin America, China, the Arab world globally. Political divides must not impede this priority. Yet, glaring doubts persist. Ecuador, Paraguay, and the US view these claims, at best, as thin veneer over deeper conflict. Maduro, ever defiant, rejects the drug trafficking charges outright. He paints them as a cover for regime change, denying even that the Cartel of the Suns exists. Those accused remain steadfast, denying all ties to the cartel. In a rare interview on August 27, Maduro laid out his counter-narrative. His words hung heavy as if challenging the warm tropical air around him. Who produces cocaine? Colombia. How does it move? 87% flows through Colombia's Pacific coast and Ecuador. Where does the money go? Billions. Cocaine floods the US. Who buys it there? And what banks launder the profits? The mafia controlling this trade isn't in Venezuela, it's in the United States. They know it well. But the narrative has shifted. Yesterday's communism accusations gave way to terrorism charges. Now, it's drug trafficking, an absurd label just to wage war here. Could Maduro's explosive claim be a grim reflection of a deeper rot in hemispheric powers? The thick humidity seems charged with the tension of unspoken truths. Who truly pulls the strings behind the drug flow, the accused, or an even darker network? The stakes are palpable, an entire continent's future balances on this unraveling web. What if the fight against narcotics is just a smokescreen? As warships gather and alliances strain, one haunting question remains: are we on the brink of a battle in Venezuela, or merely witnessing a staged showdown for an audience far beyond South America? The next move could spark a firestorm no one expected. Previously, the Cartel of the Suns was declared an international terrorist organization by Paraguay and Ecuador. This move paved the way for military and intelligence action against drug networks tied to Venezuela's regime. But who exactly is behind the Cartel of the Suns? They are no ordinary criminals. The very name Cartel of the Suns comes from the sun insignia worn by Venezuelan generals, clear proof that top military and political leaders are deeply entangled in this shadowy cartel's operations. This is the very cartel targeted by the U.S. naval fleet now deployed near Venezuelan shores. Could it be mere coincidence that Paraguay and Ecuador branded this cartel as terrorists just days before warships appeared on the horizon? Or is this a deliberate prelude to something far more explosive? The tensions feel palpable, like distant thunder rolling closer. Ecuador and Paraguay are no isolated actors, both maintain robust security ties with the United States. In June 2024, the U.S. inked a memorandum of understanding with Ecuador to fortify their security sectors. This partnership included the delivery of a C-130H Hercules transport aircraft, trucks, boat engines, significant technological tools, and a comprehensive aid package valued at $93,400,000. In addition, the U.S. Embassy in Quito hosts an Office of Security Cooperation, fostering collaboration on counter-narcotics and combating transnational organized crime. Similarly, in August 2025, America and Paraguay signed a security-related MOU, ostensibly focused on curbing irregular migration. Its true weight lies in decades of collaboration against drug trafficking and organized crime chains. These agreements are like girders supporting an immense structure of strategic pressure on Venezuela. The designation of the Cartel of the Suns as terrorists is no small gesture. It exposes widening political cracks across South America, threatening to crack the continent's delicate balance. The sound of this brewing storm echoes beyond borders. But as the shadows grow longer over Caracas, one question lingers: will open conflict shatter South America's calm for good, or is this merely a tense chess match shrouded in naval maneuvers? A week ago, warships seemed to whisper ominous warnings just off Venezuelan coasts. Then came a puzzling offer. Nicolas Maduro, under heavy fire, suggested coordinating military efforts with Colombia against drug trafficking. What could this sudden olive branch mean? Is it a genuine plea, or a strategic gambit cloaked in diplomacy? The stakes are rising. The next move could tip the scales, and the entire region hangs in fragile suspense. Just as the claim of a drug-free Venezuela crumbles under the weight of reality, a hidden network reveals itself beneath the tropical smoke and humming jungle air. Since the 1990s, Venezuela has not just been a bystander but a pivotal bridge for a lethal cargo, Colombian cocaine, streaming quietly toward the United States. Imagine a shadowy map, cloaked in secrecy, where tiny planes pierce the dawn skies over Zulia, northwestern Venezuela. Their engines hum softly, carrying bundles of peril as they weave north through the Caribbean's shimmering turquoise waters. Then suddenly, like a ghost, they veer westward, slipping under clouds to deliver their deadly freight deep within the farmland mysteries of Guatemala, along the sun-drenched coasts of Honduras, and across scattered Caribbean isles. You can almost hear the distant buzz of propellers mingling with the salt-tinged breeze as the cargo slips into hidden hands. From these points, the drugs take a new journey by land and sea, pushed upward through Mexico's labyrinthine routes, before flooding into American cities, with shadows cast by unseen forces. These routes may have evolved, whispers speak of unmanned submersibles gliding beneath restless waves, but the skeletal path traced decades ago still dominates today's smuggling map. Yet, it's not just a matter of secret flights. Along Venezuela's western frontier, where dense forest meets rugged hills near Colombia, a disturbing transformation is underway. Laboratories once controlled by Colombian operatives now hum with vibrant Venezuelan command. The pulse of these chemical factories beats louder, turning raw coca paste into the powerful white powder fueling markets far beyond South America. Still, the guerrilla ghosts of Colombia's FARC and ELN groups lurk within these operations, shadows embedded in Venezuela's terrain, offering muscle and cover to protect their illicit enterprise. Plan Colombia, a US-backed initiative aimed at stamping out drugs and militants, triggered seismic tremors across this landscape. Peace treaties in Colombia shifted power and displaced entire factions, pushing many into Venezuelan territory. The result? A complex web in which Venezuela no longer merely ferries drugs but cultivates the very coca plants beneath the sweltering sun. The jungle's breathing canopy conceals hundreds of hectares of these risky crops, a chilling sign that the problem has deepened and spread. Is Venezuela merely a pipeline, or has it morphed into a core player in a devastating drug network? Can this escalating involvement tip the fragile balance into open conflict, or is it merely the dark undercurrent of a continent on edge? The scent of upheaval lingers in the humid air, while the murmur of international tensions grows louder, promising yet another explosive chapter on South America's turbulent stage. Tensions are spiraling to a boiling point in South America. Picture the Caribbean waters, once tranquil, now stirring with the waves of impending conflict. Recent developments have shifted the narrative from the quiet backwaters of the continent to the frontline of a high-stakes geopolitical tug-of-war. Late August saw Donald Trump dispatch 3 Aegis-guided missile destroyers to Venezuelan waters, a move shrouded in urgency. The USS Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, and USS Sampson, supported by 4,000 personnel, have arrived, showcasing a formidable U.S. presence. But in a surprising twist, reports emerged suggesting this deployment is part of an ongoing anti-drug operation, a ruse or reality? Meanwhile, Trump announced additional military assets would reinforce this Caribbean armada, including the USS Lake Erie and the USS Newport News, alongside a P-8A Poseidon aircraft, echoing the military's increasing footprint in the region. Why now? The escalating war of words between Trump and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro dates back years, rooted deeply in accusations of narco-terrorism against Maduro, who has vehemently denied all claims, calling them a smear campaign. As Maduro faces the growing specter of U.S. intervention, he stands firm, rallying a staggering 4.5 million-strong militia while declaring that no empire will touch the sacred soil of Venezuela. The stakes grow higher as Venezuela requests United Nations intervention against what it terms an aggressive military buildup. This turn of events raises pressing questions. Is this an escalation towards open conflict, or a desperate diplomatic maneuver? The air is thick with tension, and the outcome remains uncertain. Now, the battlefield is not limited to the sea, it extends into the political arena. Maduro, with the weight of national pride behind him, is countering Trump's military posturing with an arsenal of political rhetoric and a swelling civilian militia. Citizens flock to enlist, driven by a fervent call to protect their homeland against perceived imperialistic encroachment, shaping a narrative of resistance. What will happen next? Can the might of the U.S. fleet truly intimidate a country rallied under its leader? Or will this provocatory dance escalate into something far more sinister? As both sides brace for a coming storm, the world watches, caught in the suspense of unresolved conflict destined to unfold. Amid a rising wave of tension, South America finds itself at a precarious crossroads. For years, the continent has been perceived as a sanctuary, untouched by the global storms of conflict that rage elsewhere. However, recent developments are igniting fears of a new war that could unfold right on America's doorstep. Last week, in a bold maneuver, the White House dispatched 3 powerful guided missile destroyers to the turbulent waters off Venezuela, an ominous sign of escalating hostilities. As the rumble of warships echoes across the sea, the air thickens with uncertainty. Could this be the catalyst for a fierce showdown? The USS Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, and USS Sampson, carrying a formidable force of over 4,000 sailors, are now first in line for potential confrontation. Adding to this growing fleet, 2 more ships, the USS Lake Erie and the submarine USS Newport News, are poised to join the fray. Their mission? To combat the drug cartels that have festered in Venezuela's shadows. This development took many by surprise, yet it's clear that a storm is brewing between Donald Trump and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Tensions stem from decades of animosity, igniting questions about the legitimacy of Maduro's regime. Just a moment ago, the announcement of a staggering $50 million bounty for Maduro's apprehension reverberated through political corridors. With such stakes, is Venezuela truly the innocent player it claims to be? Surprising alliances are also forming. Paraguay and Ecuador recently designated the infamous Cartel of the Suns, a criminal syndicate believed to be led by Maduro, as a terrorist organization. This decision raises murmurs of an impending crackdown on drug trafficking, further complicating an already volatile situation. In an unexpected twist, Maduro has proposed coordinating military efforts against the very same drug trade that his critics accuse him of leading. The implications are staggering. Will this supposed collaboration signal a shift in power dynamics, or is it merely smoke and mirrors, a desperate ploy to avert impending doom? Maduro insists that Venezuela is, against all accusations, a clean, drug-free territory. The echoes of his claims clash vividly against the reality revealed by formal statements detailing military actions that destroyed cocaine laboratories and eradicated coca crops. Tantalizingly close to the truth or merely political bluster? As the ships sail into the horizon and the clouds of war gather over the continent, the question remains, will South America become the next front in an escalating global conflict? Only time will tell, but the distant sounds of cannons and the scent of gunpowder may soon replace the peaceful whispers that have long characterized this region. As tensions escalate in South America, a dramatic showdown looms like a storm cloud over Venezuela. The recent military maneuvers underscore a critical question: can Venezuela's armed forces deter a U.S. naval fleet poised at its shores? Less than a week after the White House's alarming announcement, Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino revealed a significant drone deployment and intensified naval patrols, dramatically shifting the balance of power in the region. Venezuela's military arsenal, shrouded in mystery and controversy, boasts an array of assets. Will these efforts prove sufficient against the formidable U.S. presence? Venezuelan leaders have a terrifying insight into their options. They might not have cutting-edge technology, but they wield more than 300,000 active troops ready to defend their homeland. As Padrino invoked the specter of war, the smell of uncertainty wafted through Caracas, a potent mixture of fear and resolve. Meanwhile, the U.S. fleet has sent 3 Aegis-class destroyers to the Caribbean, a bold response to perceived threats from Venezuelan factions. Each vessel is a technological marvel, armed with missiles capable of waging devastating strikes. How will the Venezuelan Navy, equipped with aging but determined ships like the Mariscal Sucre-class frigate, respond? The scale of the U.S. presence means even their best may not be enough for a game-changer. In the shadows of this brewing conflict lies a sinister undertone: the alleged connections between President Nicolas Maduro and the notorious Cartel of the Suns. With global condemnation mounting, how will Maduro navigate this web of accusations and military intimidation? The possibility that these events could erupt into armed conflict looms larger with each passing day. As combatants on both sides prepare their strategies, a haunting memory echoes. Flashbacks to previous confrontations grip the nation: brutal conflicts, torn families, and the cries of children caught in the crossfire. Will history repeat itself, or can diplomacy still hold sway amidst the chaos? The world watches with bated breath, as nations teeter on the edge of war not just in Europe or Africa, but now at the doorstep of U.S. territory. Can cooler heads prevail, or is a new chapter of conflict about to unfold amidst the tropical heat of Venezuela? Tensions surged to a new peak as reports surfaced of a secret Brazilian plan, codenamed Operation Emery. Its goal? A swift extraction of Nicolas Maduro and his closest allies from Venezuelan soil, masking military moves under the guise of humanitarian cooperation. U.S. intelligence units and the Southern Command tracked these developments closely, issuing stark warnings that any rescue attempt would trigger harsh economic and diplomatic punishments. Brazil quickly denied official involvement, calling it informal talks taken out of context. But beneath the surface, this story reveals a leader far from assured of his grip on power. In the wake of this revelation, silence hangs thick in the sultry Venezuelan air. The distant hum of military vehicles, the sharp scent of tropical humidity, and the tense whispers circulating among both allies and adversaries paint a picture of a volatile calm before the storm. The Pentagon now stands at a crossroads, poised to launch strikes, disrupt illicit shipments, or dispatch special units from international waters. Will Donald Trump's administration dare to force Maduro's hand, gambling that the regime buckles without firing a single shot? Or is this a perilous game edging ever closer to open conflict in the Western Hemisphere's backyard? As night falls over Caracas, one question burns: can Maduro withstand the tightening noose, or is his downfall inevitable? The coming days may shatter the fragile peace, rewriting the fate of South America forever. The world watches, breath held, hearts pounding, waiting for the unexpected. The shocking twist that could change everything. Tensions hang heavy in the air, as the atmosphere crackles with uncertainty. Following the U.S. fleet's aggressive maneuvers off the coast, Venezuela's government has responded with a show of force, deploying a staggering 15,000 troops to the Colombia border. "We are confronting drug trafficking directly," Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello proclaimed, boasting of 53 tons of drugs seized this year. Yet behind his rhetoric lies a troubling truth: Cabello himself is linked to the infamous cartel of the Suns. The defense minister, Padrino, echoed the urgency, revealing that a covert operation in Venezuela's northeast had uncovered shipyards being used to build semi-submersibles for drug transport. "We're addressing this issue," they insist. The palpable fear of U.S. intervention looms large. Reports from August 28 hint at an alarming reality: Nicolas Maduro was spotted at the Chinese embassy, urgently seeking assistance. He hasn't just requested diplomatic backing but has specifically asked for advanced land-to-sea defense systems to complement his existing Iranian arsenal. The revelation of Operation Imari adds another layer of intrigue. Brazilian defense sources exposed a secret contingency plan to rescue Maduro in the event of a U.S. coup attempt. A coordinated effort from the Brazilian Navy aims to establish an evacuation corridor, allowing special operations forces to whisk Maduro and key allies away from danger. What unforeseen twists lie ahead in this high-stakes game? As the shadows deepen over South America, the question lingers: will Maduro's desperation lead to a backlash? Or will his preparations for an imminent attack be his salvation?